Krista Gorshi is a mom working part-time. She is married to Jim Gorshi, and together they have 3 kids. She works as a lawyer at the Principal Financial Group and is an avid do-it-yourselfer at home. So the assumption for the part-time mom is that you have time for everything. Because you're only working a little bit of time, and so the people who are at work are thinking, well, you've got plenty of time to get your stuff done. I have to be here all day. And then the people who are at home are thinking, sure, you have plenty of time to get your adult time because you're out there and you can stop at the grocery store and get what you need before you get home and that sort of thing, which is totally, I think, not the case, unless you want to blow that for me.
Well, it's partly true, like everyone has
There's
said.
always a little bit of truth to every
right.
assumption, wouldn't you think?
I do, and it's interesting because when I'm in my camp at work,
it's a camp.
It is
totally.
It's
the work
and
people
the colleagues, right? Some of them, my work has been great as far as the part-time arrangement, but some colleagues might say, "Oh, she's just part-time."
Oh,
and
okay.
then when I'm home, "Oh, she works," and so I kind of maybe don't fit well.
Right. You don't have a category.
That's right.
No matter what.
And there are never enough hours in the day, but I'm sure the other guests would also confirm that.
Yes.
That balancing is really hard because you are doing 2 different lives, and you can't do either one fully.
As if you were full-time at home or full-time at work.
That's right.
But
so
again,
it's like Hannah Montana, which is always on at my house for some reason, but it's the best of both worlds, but it's
But when you're on the
taxing.
phone on a conference call to work and you have to tell your son, I need you to shut off,
That's right.
you know, whatever, because that's when things collide.
And everything bleeds together. There's not always a cutoff.
So you have to choose, make choices, set boundaries, and balance. That's the thing that people need to know. And you really aren't, you don't have endless hours.
No.
That assumption needs to go out the window.
That's right.
Now that we've sat down with each of the women, it's time to talk with the whole group about the assumptions we've discussed so far. You know, women are funny. We make some serious assumptions about each other, and generally speaking, it's a little bit correct, but there's always more to the story. And that's what we're going to do here. We're going to get a little more to the story. I'm going to ask Jackie a question. So you had the benefit of sitting here and listening to everyone after you went up first, and kind of thinking about what they're saying. You know, what do you think about the way that you would have thought about each one of them and what you heard from them?
I think everybody's happy, and that's the neat thing. You know what I mean? Everybody is doing something different in a different life circumstance, but I don't hear any complaining or bitterness. I mean, I'm sure we all have our days where you
always wonder what it would be like.
Yeah. But I think it's neat. You know what I mean? We're all different, and it's okay that we don't all do the same thing.
And we've been laughing up a storm here. Like, there's no problem with getting along. And I think sometimes we think, oh, if I'm single, I should be with single people. Or if I'm, what could I really hang out with you, Jackie, in an afternoon when you're with your stay-at-home mom group or whatever. We kind of draw boundaries between each other. Tina, do you ever feel the boundaries?
Like, actually not. I have quite a mix of friends, both married and single. I think we have so much in common. We all struggle at different times for different reasons. We're all tired and exhausted at different times.
Right.
But no, my friends are all different. I think there are a lot of people that do assume that my friends would all be single, or that we're all looking for a man.
Or they can't cross the line with you. You know, like I have friends that are, obviously I have friends that are from, I just like who I like. And sometimes one of my friends from one category they don't think they can go into the other world with me. I'm like, come on, it's okay, we all like each other. Sherry, do you ever feel like that? Or has that ever happened to you where someone just doesn't invite you because it's a couple thing?
Oh, absolutely.
Or a kid thing.
Right. It happens all the time where they invite you and they're like, oh, well, you don't have anybody to bring. So.
And you have been in a relationship.
I
mean, you were just out of a relationship, and it was a long one.
Yes.
Actually longer than I've been married to my husband. So it's not that you're...
I'm not a man hater.
Right.
There's nothing wrong with me.
Sure.
Yeah. So there are assumptions, and you're really hitting on the whole social part of it, and the whole concept of that we don't all have to be carbon copies of each other, and it's better when we're not.
Yeah.
Because we can ask each other questions. I can ask you for some advice about parental issues with my parents, and you can give guidance that maybe my single friends wouldn't have.
Right.
Or, so that's
And
valuable.
working with schedules, because like you have a schedule that you can move around, and that can be a way to connect with other people. Like, do you find
Definitely.
that you
There's
can?
flexibility.
So sometimes you can
and-
give a ride, and how else do
Absolutely.
you use your flexibility to
be able
your
to,
advantage?
Well, with my particular part-time schedule, I work every day
Yeah.
in the morning until early afternoon. Perhaps maybe take a whole day and do the whole stay-at-home mom day, or maybe if I really need to work on a project, I stay a whole day. And you have to have flexible childcare with
Sure.
that. But it's interesting, I chose to go part-time as my kids aged. I
Right.
think they get to be harder, and I have to drive them everywhere. I'm sure that I spend all my time in that van. But it's been great to be able to catch the feedback from the kids, that it's not just the end of the day. We all talked about getting to have time with our kids if there's flexibility, so they don't, when you say, how was your day? Fine. You're actually there for the moment to talk about it, teaching moment. So,
Absolutely.
so that's the game. The hard part is the balance.
Right. We're going to talk a little bit more when we come back about the lessons that we can learn from each other. But first, I got to take a break from talking, and then after the commercial, we'll be back. Stay tuned. I just have a few more minutes with these ladies, and I've enjoyed myself immensely. I hope you have too. But I want to ask you about lessons. I mean, Nead Inspiration is all about learning from each other, I believe, and I'm learning a lot, definitely. So, I just want you to think about your life and what do you want people to understand or know? Something that you've learned just from being in your circumstance that maybe I couldn't learn because I'm not. And Krista, let's start with you.
Oh boy. That maybe you can have it all if you don't set the expectations for perfectionism.
Right.
And I'm talking about if you stop in at my house, you know what I'm talking
Sure,
about.
and maybe everything. Your house is clean, by the way. I was at everyone's house, and all of it was clean. So,
But so having said that, no, that I do very much enjoy my career.
yes,
And I really enjoy my family. And if you have the good fortune to be able to blend those,
right. I think having it all is whatever you define as all.
I think
and
you're
if
right.
you define it, then you can have it, which is really a good thing to remember.
a recipe
I
for
think.
happiness, really.
Absolutely. Okay, so Tina, how about you? What is something that we definitely need to know about something that you've learned in your life circumstance?
Well, I think everything that she just said, along with, for me, my girls are my number one priority. But one thing that I want to role model as a woman for them is that it's okay not to be in a relationship unless it's the right relationship. And I want to be happy myself. I want everyone to be happy, healthy, to feel loved, and that
You can't.
it's okay to be alone
Right.
at times. And sometimes that's the time that you grow the most.
Right.
And then, love will find you. But
Right.
if it's not right, it's not right. And
I think
I'm okay with
choosing
that.
happiness over demographic. I mean, if you always choose the category, you may never be able to fully enjoy your life, and I completely
Making
understand.
sure you have that right person so that you are role modeling
Yep.
the right kind of love for your children.
And not even just for children, but for everyone else. I
Right.
mean, we look at this, we are role modeling for other women, not just kids. So Sherry, how about you? What can I, teach me something.
Absolutely.
What should I learn?
Well, I have to ditto everything
Yes.
that's come before me. And in addition to say, and this may sound funny coming on the heels of what I said, but it does take a village. And that in my life, in the example that I gave, I depend on other people at times, and they're not a significant other in my life. It's not that I have somebody there, a go-to person at every time. My family doesn't live even in the state of Iowa. And so maybe I would suggest that we all be on the lookout for those who need support. And I try to do that too. I try to look, there's a widow on my street, maybe take her something, when I've made extra
Sure.
food, take that
Help
to that
each other
person.
out.
Sometimes it's hard to ask.
Right. But I would
Absolutely.
say, I'm married, but sometimes my friends give me things to take a little pressure off my husband.
Yes.
So I think that we
Yes.
should all be depending on each other.
Exactly.
Good
So it
one.
takes a
Very
village.
good one. And okay, so you didn't want to be first this time, so now you're last. Jackie, what you're taking it home. What's something that we can learn from you in your situation of taking care of your family.
Sure. Well, you know what? I'm just, Krista just touched on it just a little bit. But my kids are getting older. My oldest is almost 16, and my youngest is 6. I got 4 kids. And I did struggle last year when my youngest went off to school. Like,
what am I doing?
Is there value in me still staying home? Maybe I should go back to work, you know. And I really investigated that. I talked to my husband about that, you know. But the older they get, the busier they are, and just to be available, which is ironically, I mean, there's value in staying at home, although there's nobody home.
Yes,
for 6
right.
hours of the day, you know.
Right.
That there's there's just value, and then because 3:30 rolls around and
They're
you are
coming
in the
back.
car, you are done. You're going to games, you're running to
Right.
lessons, to scouts.
And Jackie,
so-
I really enjoy the fact that you just really own your decision. I mean, that there's no apologies, that this is your life and this is what you want. And even though there's 4 people who are very different than you, you're saying this is me. And that's just something, that's a great lesson for any woman to learn, because we always like to sort of blend in. So I hope that you enjoyed our time in exploring these ladies' lives, and that we blew away your assumptions and gave you something to think about. I bet we did. And if you want more information about them, or the tips, or the conversation that we shared, just go to neadinspiration.com and make sure that you tune in next week for a little inspiration. Thanks for watching.
We hope you enjoyed this episode of Nead Inspiration. We're proud to bring a new episode each and every week. Stop into Des Moines Motors and see our incredible line of noble cars, electric motor vehicles, and quality pre-owned cars, trucks, and SUVs. We'll see you on the next episode of Nead Inspiration.